First of all, I would like to say yet again how lovely it is to be with you all. And this morning we are going to look at black energy. We concentrated very thoroughly on white energy, but black energy is the other half of the entire sort of concept of yin yang, negative, positive, electromagnetic field forces. So today is an incredibly important relationship with the white lichen lecture that we did. So today we are going to do black lichen, but I want to take you back again to the original dream and the cave and the black lichen in the cave, which was for, as according to Michael Nightingale, for the megakaryocytes, the black lichen, which proved to be so valuable, that started off as research for the blood. And intriguingly enough, not only was it for the megakaryocytes, which was overlooked at that stage because I was just a beginner, and I looked at it in terms of healing the hemocytoblasts. Now, today we're going to look a lot at the black energy of the hemocytoblasts and the hemoglobin, because this is desperately, desperately important. What we're seeing in the live blood of our patients is really concerning, because there is a really horrifying condition called hypoxia. So the truth, my dears, is that we've been called to do something extremely important. We are constantly being called to play our role in our lives, in our humanity, our purpose, our reason for being in this world. And this is what makes us very humble in many ways, but also very strong. The world is in huge crisis at the moment, huge crisis. It was all predicted. The prediction I've told you about many, many times, that we would suffer with airborne AIDS. And that is exactly what's happening today. So the black energy is really the mitochondria of the cell. So without black, there is no white. Without negative, there is no positive. Without up, there is no down. Without electrical energy, there is no connection unless there is magnetic energy. So the black energy is incredibly important. So immediately we go to the incredible spider's web. Everything is connected. Black energy supports bacteria. We've talked a great deal about virus, but remember, never lose sight of the concept of the phage, the fact that bacteria is the alien aggressor that supports and negates our immune system. Remember that every cell in our human body is made up of bacteria. Remember that we are complex worlds, this extraordinary cell structures. And this symbol is so ancient, but it's so needed. It's so pure. It's so extraordinary. This concept of big yang, the white energy, with little yang, the little tail. And then you've got the big yin, which is the body, and then the tiny little tail, which is little yin. And in between, you've got the spot, the black spot in the white swirl, and the white spot in the black swirl. Everything is connected. This is the torus of life, the yin yang symbol, the ancient symbol of life. So do keep in touch with these exquisite symbols. And let us move on now to this concept of black energy. And remember that black energy is not just black, it is also far infrared. It is also night sky, dark, dark indigo. It is far, far, far infrared. And that is the magnetic field force of the earth. Earthing, geopathic earthing, and what affects us and what damages us is radiation, X-ray, geopathic stress in the environment. And it's so fascinating because this energy of black starts really dark. It's the whole, the long wave of infrared and far infrared vibrating on the frequency of 770 to 780 nanometers. And this extraordinary energy is just so powerful because it's the energy of physical, it's the energy of the floor, it's the energy of gravity. It is the most physical energy within the light spectrum, and it is beyond the visible ability for us to see. We cannot see infrared, far infrared. We only see dark, black. Far infrared is the vibration of molten lava, the inner core of the planet. But correlative with that, it is the most extraordinary energy of our most incredible inner whole, the pupil of the eye, the inner core of the spinal cord, the inner core of the bone marrow, the mitochondria, the inner core of the cell, the mitochondria of the cell, the engine of the cell, the inner core of the spinal cord, the spinal fluid. It is the most physical of all the energies, and it's responsible for the production of vital brain hormones. Intriguingly enough, this extraordinary energy is the energy that enables us to deal with pain, touch, the physical sensation of physical experience, how we experience our environment, how we experience our friends, our loved ones, making love, touching our friends, cuddling, holding, picking up a little baby that's hurt themselves and kissing them better. This exquisite energy of touch, which is what makes us able to feel and experience our environment. The extraordinary experience ranging from pleasurable, wonderful contact, touch, loving touch, the sensation of becoming one with somebody you love very much, this exquisite energy of beauty, of contact, of love. And we experience this energy on so many levels. The exquisite energy of being absolutely beautifully in love with somebody that you adore, in contact with somebody that you love, and then ranging right the way through to the relative loss of that touch, the experience of exquisite touch lost, which becomes excruciating pain, the loss of someone you love, the excruciating agony, the tricuspid agony of inflammatory pain, mind-numbing, excruciating, which is unbearable and impossible to cope with, ranging through to dull agony, the patient loss of love, which is the mitral agony, the grief, the sorrow, the suffering. And it's so complex because we are made up of so much. We are physical beings from the moment we're born until the moment we die. I think the beautiful little fetus is very spiritual, and then it comes into this brutal world, and we then become very physical. But then when we die, our soul is separated and we become incredibly spiritual again. So this concept of infrared black energy is massively powerful. We often relate our current acute physical life to our now experience of contact and the sensations of that feeling. And feelings can be experienced on so many levels. As I've already said, ranging from, ow, that hurt. Oh, that was uncomfortable. Hot. Ooh, move my hand away. To, ow, cold, cold and numb. To the agonizing inflammation of mind-numbing, excruciating pain, which is completely unbearable. Now, if we didn't survive, if we didn't support ourselves with this unbearable pain, we would simply die. It would kill us. And so we are clever. We create something extraordinary through the brain hormone pathway of an L-dopamine. There's incredible activity, almost like the axle of the wheels of the bone of the brain cycle. So this L-dopamine, L-dopa, which is produced to experience through adrenaline what is going on now in our bodies. And this exquisite brain hormone, when it's under duress, it stimulates endorphin. And endorphin is our natural anesthetic. So we are able to survive through producing and anesthetizing ourselves, anesthetic to dull the pain, to be able to cope with it. Oh, it's too unbearable. I can't cope with that now. I'm going to deal with it later. And there's a wonderful book, which many of you may not know about, and it's called it's Scarlett O'Hara, but she can't cope with pain. So she says, oh, I can't do it. Tomorrow is another day. That's exactly what we do. Gone with the Wind is the book I'm talking about. And if everything became too hard for her, she said, I can't deal with this now. Tomorrow is another day. I'll deal with it tomorrow. And we all do that. Now, we are helped on the environment by black flowers, black plants. And we have two extraordinarily important black flower formulas. One is flower formula 5, black nightshade, and the other is this incredible flower formula 20, which is our beautiful black anemone. So look at this concept of what pain and endorphin does. Usually it's because the body's been injured. So going back to this concept of the black energy and the injury, the physical pain in the body, this extraordinary endorphin, it's like the signal that alerts our body to the fact that we need to do something. It is the signal that flashes, the red light flashing, simply saying, come on, your body's under duress, we need to do something. And I think those of you who practiced or studied neuroptics, iridology, know very well that when we are wounded spiritually, that produces a scar, a wound. In our physical physiognomy, we see this as wrinkles and pain etched in our face, in our eyes, the window to our soul. But in the neuroptics, it's fascinating because a physical wound produces exactly the same lacuna, and the depth of that lacuna is identical to a spiritual wound. But human bodies are programmed to deal with physical, the cells. That's why we don't really worry too much about the physical, because we deal with the spiritual, emotional. And it's the spiritual and emotional which is so difficult to handle in modern society, because there is a crisis in the world and it is incredibly disturbing. When we are wounded, these extraordinary hormones trigger and release the megakaryocytes, the stem cells to produce blood platelets, which are responsible for the healing of the tissues, but also the stem cells of the bone marrow called hemocytoblasts, which resonate on the frequency of infrared, and stem cells are responsible for the production of the blood cells, the most important healing blood cells, referred to as the thrombocytes and blood platelets. But don't forget that these trigger the healing process of the immune system. So physical attacks on our lives on all levels of consciousness, spiritual, emotional, physical, etc., are responsible for weakening us. And there is a lot of brutality in the world. There's a lot of cruelty. There's a lot of victimization, which leaves us feeling wounded and grief-struck and quite helpless. But we are not helpless. Our beautiful infrared flowers, which often appear almost black, support us and they heal us in our darkest hour. So never forget that we are protected and we are much loved. So our black flowers are extraordinary. And we'll go straight to opium poppy, the black opium poppy, which we have now done something important. EDS, which has always been a valuable way of supporting. We have EDS moss ivy, generated as the most amazing healing from Gunung But then we have upgraded our stork's-bill, our EDS2, interstitial cell stimulating hormone. And now it's most incredible because all our latest research has gone into assessing this concept of hypoxia. We're seeing in the live blood this incredible sticky blood. I'll send you some photographs of some of our patients because their blood is all roulading and stuck together and it's not breathing properly. And this is causing hypoxia. The only time I've ever experienced hypoxia was when I was very young, a very long time ago, when I was living in Brunei and we went and climbed Kota Kinabalu. And right at the top of that mountain, oh my God, we couldn't breathe. And we ended up crawling up to the top of the mountain on our hands and knees because we got headaches, we suffered with earache, our legs collapsed. We couldn't get enough oxygen into our lungs, and it was exhausting, as well as the nausea that came with that hypoxia. Unfortunately, I'm seeing this with patients all the time, and it is incredibly, incredibly concerning. They are exhausted, dizzy, exhausted. When we look at the blood and we see this hypoxia, we know that there's something badly wrong with their bone marrow and their hemocytoblasts. But I love this black opium poppy. Some of you have got my book, and this is taken from the book. This incredible, beautiful, beautiful opium poppy. And remember that opium is an anesthetic. It is an ancient healing plant. The seeds of the poppy, the juice of the poppy, actually, not the seeds, the extract from the seed pod, which is used as an anesthetic, as used as a drug, opium. But somniferum comes from the Latin sleep, meaning to sleep, the dark world. This is a very powerful plant. It's very spiritual. It's for ancestral wisdom. It's for the DNA, the deep memories, instinct, emotions, swayed by the senses, the physical touch. We keep talking about the physical touch, the sensation of pain, deep evocative memories, gifts of vision and awareness, the yin and the yang of our lives, the beautiful experience of love, and the deep, deep tragedy of trauma, old memories, tragedies within a family that conspire to control our upbringing, memories of past hurt, self-induced hypnosis to avert painful memories and experiences. Self-induced hypnosis. It is an extraordinary thing that we do. We create this endorphin to enable us to cope with the agony of pain. And it is extremely interesting that is a sign where the body is resting or it's dying. So we have this incredible concept of the repercussions of the physical pain on natural painkillers, pain, unbearable pain, ranging from excruciating to dull, persistent and agonizing. And again, this incredible flower, antidotes, anesthetics, which put us to sleep. Very tragically, a lot of the chemicals in modern society are anesthetizing us, creating this incredible sedation. And with that sedation, you get low blood pressure, hypoglycemia, low thyroid, hypothyroid function, weight gain, excruciating blockage in the lymphatic system. And generally, this is a diastolic mitral valve complication of DNA mitral. So that is a very powerful formula. And our new formula is called Maltese Poppy. Very, very, very beautiful formula, incredibly important. And much to my surprise, we all need it. Now, this will be sent to Malaysia. It's just been finalized. It's only just come back from the lab. But I'd like to move on now to this exquisitely beautiful black Primula. Black flowers are very unusual, but my goodness me, when you see them, they're so powerful. And this bruising, this black Primula, the signature is the soft little petals of infrared, look like bruised tissue, the spiritual level, gentle and spiritual, guided by deep spiritual instinct. Remember that instinct, infrared is our instinct. Emotional level, soft, gentle and loving, but the trauma is injured, bruised, hurt, tormented, a victim of abuse, whether spiritual or physical, trauma of rough sexual activity, rape even. The physical level, the bone marrow, the stem cells, the hemocytoblast, the megakaryocytes, and disorders of clotting, blood platelets, bruising and aneurysm. At the moment, people are very ill in the West, and they are being diagnosed and treated with blood thinners, many. This is the latest medical prescription, according to my colleagues and friends and practitioners who are doctors, that they are obliged now to treat these heart problems with ACE inhibitors, steroids, and blood thinners. And again, remember that little children, when they come into the world, are given the vitamin K procedure. And I would like to remind you, Moon, do you remember when we went to Gunung Mulu and we actually were in the boat with that little girl? She was very sweet. She was one of the guides and she was covered in bruises. And I asked her about what was going on there. And she said, oh, I have thrombocytopenia. And I wanted to have an epidural when I had my baby, but I don't have any blood platelets. I don't know if you remember that. But I was horrified to think that they were giving a meningitis flu vaccine to children in the Gunung Mulu jungle, to young people, and especially pregnant women. And we are seeing that some of these procedures are causing terrible platelet problems, megakaryocyte problems. And yet again, the vitamin K given to little babies when they're first newborn, it is very, very concerning that this procedure, the vitamin K procedure, is so disturbing. You have a fruit in Malaysia, it's called dragon fruit, that beautiful purple fruit. Wow, does it stimulate blood platelets? Yes, it does. It feeds the vitamin K. It's full of vitamin K. It's an amazing, amazing nutritional fruit. So I encourage you all to eat dragon fruit. I want to take you to this concept of the silver birch. The silver birch, we have a formula for injury. It is almost like, it's our most powerful formula for bruising and pain and injury. And it's called silver birch, ponderosa pine, superfit 10, our silver energy of infinity, the ancestral infinity going back in time to the beginning of time, our ancestry, right the way through to now, and the infinity of the future. And the cross, remember, that creates our relationships, the choices that we talked about when we did the white lichen. This concept that we always have a choice. So the writing, the letter, when you open up the bark of the silver birch, it's red writing. Now, I remember going to Sri Lanka and climbing up Sigiriya, this incredible temple, this castle, this temple. Well, no, it wasn't a temple. It was a palace built on top of the rock, the Sigiriya rock. And as you walked up all the way along the steps, all the way up this mountain, was this incredible red writing, Sanskrit. But in the Western world, red writing is the debt. And the black writing is the information, the letter, the information of what and who and what we're trying to do. So I want you to move on to the next slide, because this slide is all about fear. And this was Rudolf Steiner who wrote this in 1920, which was 100 years ago. He said, in the future, we will eliminate the soul with medicine. Under the pretext of a healthy point of view, there will be a vaccine by which the human body will be treated as soon as possible, directly at birth, so that the human being cannot develop the thought of the existence of the soul and spirit. Remember that phytobiophysics does not deal with the physical. We deal with the spiritual. All our flower formulas are supporting spirit and emotion. The materialistic doctors will be entrusted with the task of removing the soul of humanity. As today, people are vaccinated against this disease or that disease. So in the future, children will become vaccinated with a substance that can be produced precisely in such a way that people, thanks to this vaccination, will be immune to being subjected to the madness of spiritual life. He would be extremely smart, but would not develop a conscience. Well, what does that say to us? That if we are harmed by physical chemicals, what is going to happen to our beautiful soul, our ability, our etheric body, our ability to feel, to love, to touch, to have these senses, these incredible senses of sight and soul and beautiful music and sound and hearing the loved one telling you that they love you. This incredible, simple little experience, this expression. We will become materialistic of constitution and no longer rise to the spirit. Well, as far as we are concerned, that is heartbreaking, because that's the end of who we are if we're separated from our soul. So we need to move on now. And I want to talk to you about dreams that I have. Always, always remember that we are beloved, we are protected, we are never alone. We are surrounded by the 9 guides of phytobiophysics. They always come to us when we need help. Sometimes in beautiful, beautiful rainbow cloaks, like the special superfit formulas. They inspired us with the trees, the beautiful old gnarled wooden cloaks. In Brazil, Iguazu, they were dressed in their waterfall costumes, incredible, incredible flowing water. The rainbow colors of the Fibonacci code. or when they're wearing silvery white armor. And you know, these dreams are powerful. They are prophetic. I will talk to you about this dream another time because it is extremely important and has led us to this research of this EDS3, the Maltese poppy. The black lichens and flower formula 5. The black lichen, remember going back to Victoria, the sacred lichens, the black ball formula, the black lichen of the waterfall, that was the beautiful arachnoid mater formula. Victoria's sacred lichen we'll come to, the black lichen of the cave, the megakaryocytes. The Malta catacomb, this is something we need to talk about. And brain hormone, coenzyme Q10, the healer of the bacteria in our mouths and teeth. And in 100 Hedgerows, in my book, we have Fungus purpureum, the black fungus, which is for fear, betrayal, and fear of cancer, the dark underworld. And then Dragon Arum, which is for abuse. Finally, I want to talk to you today about seaweed. And the knotted vrac is so powerful because this is the antibiotic of the world. And this takes us to the algae of the Roman catacomb. This is Malta again. While I was there, I think I've told you all many times how much I fear being in dark spaces, this concept of being in the underground and the underworld, because I'm a light being. But in this case, I did brave myself to go down into the catacombs, the old 2,000-year-old walls, the tomb. And there we found this incredible slimy green black slime on the walls, this algae, which I harvested. And it was extremely extraordinary because luckily I've got a picture which we can move on to. This algae was extraordinary because it had the energy of death and the stench of decay. There was a horrible smell in the catacombs, the bottomless pit of agony, deep tragedy and pain. I made the formula and I was actually in the sun, funnily enough, sitting on a sunbed, and I was holding this vial in my hand. And what was so utterly extraordinary is that I actually felt my fingers going completely numb and this strange sensation of this anesthetization going up my arm and spreading up towards my neck. And I thought, oh my goodness me, I'm going to fall asleep here. Torpor, lethargy, a really strange sense of slowly slipping away. Sleep, death, the underworld. You know, when you go to sleep, sometimes when you can't sleep, you toss and you turn, and then actually you wake up in the morning and you realize that you've actually been in this underworld, in this sort of sleeping situation, this coffin. I had to drop it. I had to put the vial down because it was too powerful. So I had to literally put it down. So incredible, because this takes us to another dream, which I'm going to talk to you about, because these prophetic dreams are incredibly important. So the tomb algae, the womb, the tomb, rebirth, sleep, wake, life, death, the sanctuary, close to death, fear of dying. What is so utterly tragic in modern society is that we've started to talk about death as if it's something terribly frightening, but it's actually part of our life. So we're looking here, we've got 200 hedgerow flowers, Fungus purpureum, black fungus, which is fear of death, fear of malignancy. And the 9 gates of healing through love, pink clover. I want to talk to you about this dream. This was an extraordinary dream. Pink clover is healing through love. It is the most beautiful flower. It's for the lover, the senses, all the senses of touch, taste, sight, hearing, sound, all the senses of the exquisite ability of us to enjoy our lives and to form these loving relationships, the lover. And it's so beautiful because it talks about the beast. It talks about loss of sensuality, loss of touch, loss of feeling, impaired senses, not being able to see, not being able to hear, not being able to touch or feel or taste. And these senses are desperately important because they literally connect us, not just to our lives, but also to our soul. I will take you back to a dream that I had many, many, many years ago, and it was extraordinary. It was the night before I went to the laboratory, Helios laboratory, to meet with John Morgan, taking my flower formulas. And it was an extremely powerful dream, which I've told many of you, and I've got a lecture about it, which we can re-look at. But just to go back to it, the dream was that I was a witness to this beautiful woman. She was lying on a plinth, lying on a bed, sparkling with energy, sparkling with life, exquisitely beautiful, exquisitely dynamic, energetic. And I was looking at her and glorying at her beauty, looking at life, looking at life. And then all of a sudden, the fear was utterly dramatic because this beast, this black beast, pranced into the space above her head, crouching at her head with the number 666 on his forehead. And he had 4 arms, and he started to menace her with these rods, menacing this beautiful woman with the 4 rods and hurting her. And then, to my despair, I saw the dead body lying on the floor below her. Her soul had disappeared, and she became opaque, no energy. And I was terrified. And so in dreams, I called for help. You know, I put my hands up to my mouth and a bubble came out of my mouth. Help. I was so terrified that I didn't want to alert the beast to my presence, but there was this little maid polishing a mirror in the bathroom. So I called her and I said, help, call the police. And then a blind policeman came to the door. He was flabby and fat and blind and ineffectual. And I said, help, help. Murder is taking place. And he said, I see no harm. No crime is being committed. I see no harm. I cannot see. I'm blind. I'm blind to harm. And murder is taking place. I said, but murder is taking place. I see no harm. No crime is being committed. And then, to my despair, I was helpless. But then the guides came and they stood in a semicircle, a beautiful semicircle in their creamy robes, standing there, protecting us, loving us, guiding us. And the beast was pushed away and he went into the corner of the room. But he looked back with a menacing look and said, you have won this time, but I will be back. But please remember that we are loved and guided. Remember this concept that life is so beautiful. We must never lose touch with how beautiful our world is. Intriguingly enough, I woke up that morning and I was covered in wounds around my heart. Those of you who know the heart lock theory understand very clearly that the 4 wounds on my chest and my breast were the 4 heart locks being wounded. Those wounds were very, very painful. I flew over to England. Anthony saw them before I flew because he took me to the airport and I showed him and I told him the dream. I then arrived at the laboratory and what was so exquisite was beautiful, beautiful John said, oh my goodness me. He said, what have you got there? And I said, it's my flower formulas. And he said, you've brought me the rainbow. And I said, yes, these are my rainbow flower formulas. So we went into this incredible little room where he prays and we offered our prayer through the Bible. And this is why we use the Bible, and in Malaysia, not just the Bible, but also rare, beautiful books. With another story, Moon will tell you about it, where we had our formulas blessed in the mosque by His Royal Highness. But the intriguing thing is that the journey of life, the Psalm of David, which is, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. We are loved. Remember that. Remember that. So the interesting thing is that I told John Morgan the story, and I showed him my wounds, and he said, those are stigmata, but you have been given a powerful message. When I went home, they disappeared, and that was fine. They just went. They disappeared after 2 or 3 days. It was only necessary for a few people, and I can't remember. There were 2 other people who saw them, but they were the witnesses, and it was important. But then once they'd seen them, they just disappeared. They were no longer there. And then I decided to look at this concept of 6. And of course, you all know that we are always looking at the vibrational connection with the elements of the planet. And the elements of 6 is carbon dioxide. And when I looked at the energy of carbon, the flower formula for the energy of carbon is white chrysanthemum, but carbon dioxide is this incredible, exquisite little pink clover. When I looked at the antidote of pink clover, it said lanthanum and tantalum, and I didn't actually know what they were. So I looked them up in Longman's encyclopedia, and tantalum is the hardest metal, the only metal that is suitable to be used to make the rods of industry, vaccination needles, dental equipment, scalpels, knives. And that struck me as being utterly, utterly extraordinary, the rods of industry, vaccination needles. But lanthanum is actually for the spark of life. It's used to make lighters and fire. Wow, stories, dreams, incredible, incredible. But that was the birth of the concept of the heart lock, which is probably one of the most important, this concept of the I Ching and the rule of the 64 changes, and the concept of the way we heal through the Fibonacci code, very much so the journey of life from beginning to now, but also the concept that Herring's law of cure, which is we heal from top to bottom and in reverse order of symptoms. But the Mossop philosophy talks about the shui, carrying the chi, the concept of the way the blood flows through the heart. And so this concept of the heart locks and our extraordinary formulas, the heart power formulas. So there's a lot about all of this, and this concept, this algae tomb formula, L-dopamine, endorphin, coenzyme Q10, supporting gonorrhea, medarinum, psychosis, smallpox, and of course syphilis. And remember, Hahnemann talked about the syphilitic taint, the incredible psychosis of the medarinum, the DNA, the RNA, pineal relay enzyme, gallbladder, the uterus, the prostate, the womb. So what an amazing dream, and how incredibly important it was, because this takes us back to the black ball of the sacred dream of the vision of light and shadow. And we have looked at this, but today we looked last time at the white lichen. Now let's look at the black ball, this incredible energy, the black ball. So back to Victoria, continuing our walk, we found this incredible black seed, this fruit on this little bush, incredible black fruit, the black ball. And so we move on. There it is, the black ball. The blackberry, we have an incredible formula, black nightshade, which also produces blackberries. So we know about HF5. Remember, you've got the formulas. We're talking about this. This is what these formulas can help with. So the language of black is language of hatred, language of victim, language of money. Now, money is what governs what's going on in the world today, the language of hatred. But also remember that without the mitochondria of the cell, without the black energy, without the bone marrow, there is no life. So 100 hedgerows, the black energy, black nightshade berry is so powerful because it's all about the incredible journey. Look at those formulas: hemoglobin, hemocytoblasts, hypoxia. We've just been talking about that. L-dopamine, endorphin, coenzyme Q10, bacteria, dysentery, tooth decay, the breaking down of bacteria, the breaking down of the body, aneurysm, which is what's happening to many, many people today, hepatotoxicity, miscarriage, and mastitis. So moving on to this incredible flower formula, Black Nightshade. The Black Nightshade, incredible, the spiritual journey through life, growth, health, life. Aware of one's purpose. Who am I? Why am I me? What is my life all about? What am I doing on this planet? Why am I chosen to do what I do? Why do I hurt? Why do I love? Who do I love? This is also desperately important. These stages of development, we talk about them. The baby, the early childhood, the incredible relationships of appropriateness, the wonderful sense of life and laughter and humor, a happy baby laughing and having a wonderful time. All stages of development, happiness, this incredible joy. And then terribly tragic, the trauma is the fear, the irrational thoughts, the incredible difficulty of putting things into perspective, the fear of cancer, the fear of disease, and the fear of death. 15,000 people died yesterday, and so it goes on. We are being taught, we are being separated from our souls, and we are being taught to fear the very principles of life and death. So we now go back to our spider's web. We've done this, we'll go through it very quickly. The beautiful black lichen, the black lichen of our beautiful waterfall in Benton, the spider's web, everything is connected. The incredible arachnoid mater, the black waterfall lichen. Move on, please, my darling, to the podorhesidian correction. Just to remind you, you've got this. Cerebral cortex, the occipital lobe of the brain, and the podorhesidian correction for the arachnoid mater. You can do this yourself. I hope you're doing it because it's desperately important to keep you safe. Remember the fourth finger to the occipital lobe of the brain, connecting to just above heart center point. So the fourth contralateral toe, if you're working with patients, extremely important. Please do not rush on and forget to do these corrections. Moving on to the incredible black lichen of Victoria. And this took us to this concept of the invitation, the light energy, the grids, the matrix, everything is connected in existence. The spider's web, everything is connected. Nothing is disconnected. Everything we learn is connected. We're back to the osteoclast, the bone marrow, the cholecystokinin, acetyl coenzyme A, the activator of the Krebs cycle, the amazing activation of life, anabolism and catabolism. Here we have this concept, this black lichen is for anabolism. Now, anabolism is how we live, how we convert our food into structural and functional components, the formation of the peptide bonds, the conversion of the amino acids, and particularly an extraordinary driving force, an essential amino acid called phenylalanine. And this is most extraordinary because it stimulates insulin, our ability to convert and transfer food and sugars into energy, our entire ability to live through our food. Everything is connected. Remember. So moving on, black is the language of hatred and betrayal. And here we go back to Gunung Mulu, this amazing trip that we did, the dragon arum. We found it was gifted to us. It was the most incredible flower that we found on our trip to Gunung Mulu, this amazing dragon arum, this incredible black arum with this black spathe, this extraordinarily, exquisitely beautiful flower, rare. We were so lucky to be gifted with this plant when we went to Gunung Mulu. Everything is connected. All our journeys, all our trips, all our research, all our work, nothing is wasted. It always goes back again. The language of hatred and betrayal, the dragon arum. This incredibly powerful sexual plant is all about sexual love, the mating game. It's all about procreation, making love to form a new life. This incredible gift of lovemaking, this passion, this beauty, this exquisite gift of being taken into a journey of deep sense, deep sensation of touch, the exquisite ability to produce one of the most important hormones of the brain hormone pathway, this incredible exquisite histamine, which is stimulated through orgasm, which literally heals us, which is why, you know, being in love with somebody, making love, being married to somebody you love, forming this incredible bonded relationships is so exquisite. Remember that the dragon arum, an arum lily, and you have a formula for this. It's called Flower Formula 17, fertility. Fertility, the driving force of procreation, creating new life. But when you negate that, when you turn it into hostility, when you turn it into the language of hatred and betrayal and destruction and cruelty and abuse, then it's a different matter. And we are being abused. Our children often choose this formula, this beautiful dragon arum formula. They often choose it, and I understand that they know that they're being abused. They know, going back to Steiner, that they are being separated from their soul, because children are very, very soul related. And right at the bottom, we won't go through it all, but right at the bottom, it talks about sufferers of AIDS and HIV and the support of cancer and very dark negative forces of pain and grief, the language of hatred. Remember that I've been telling you for years, for a long, long time, that we would suffer with airborne AIDS. And what we are now being told is that acquired immune deficiency illnesses are at their very, very, very worst. They've never been so serious. So moving on to black fungus, fear of malignant cancers and tumors. This exquisitely beautiful, beautiful black fungus is in our flower formula 20. It's in our flower formula 5. It's powerful fungus, very supportive of the terror and the fear of words like cancer. Fear of fear, cancer of the soul. Many people choose this when they're frightened. I want to talk to you now about the gifts that we are constantly being given. Now, Moon will remember this amazing trip, this incredible time when you came over to Jersey, when we had that beautiful, beautiful Melanie who was with us, who was a powerful lady, knowledgeable. She was a scientist of the sea, very, very interesting. And she knew all about seaweed. So we decided to do this extraordinary investigation into making seaweed essences. The most powerful, powerful discoveries that we made from these exquisitely beautiful seaweeds. And here we have this concept that seaweed essences support complex internal conditions, less emotional, more physical, but supporting us as a cellular level of healing brain damage and so-called incurable conditions. We are gifted with knowledge, remember. We are facing a tragedy in the world. We are facing, you know, an attack on our values, our belief systems. Everything that we are, everything that we believe in is undermined. But can we help people? I absolutely believe that we can. And these extraordinary, extraordinary seaweeds activated and upgraded our special care formulas, our beautiful, beautiful special care range, which you all have. This extraordinary energy of healing the amniotic fluid, damage to the birthing, damaging, you know, all in, for example, olive love. So many of these seaweeds gone into olive love. You know, the world is still a very beautiful place. We are surrounded by plants. Please go out and make formulas. I've taught you how to do it. Please do this for me. And for yourselves. Do not forget that, you know, you're so young, most of you, that, you know, long after I've just parted from this planet, you'll all be here, my darlings. If you're nearby the beach, Moon and I went to Langkawi and stayed in this lovely little hotel. And actually it was so fabulous because we found seaweed even there and we made remedies. We are always making our remedies, my darlings, and you must do it too. The world is a big place, but there's never needed us more than now. There's extraordinary seaweeds, you know, they're considered to be the master seaweeds. of the ability of the seaweeds are antibiotics. And we have seaweeds literally, there's more plants in the sea, you know, than there are on the land. The world is being hurt, but not destroyed. We are hurt, but not destroyed. We've got this incredibly beautiful master seaweed, which is in the special care formulas. So all this research, where is it? It's in your formulas. Do not despair. You have your formulas. All this research that we are doing is constantly going into upgrading your beautiful, beautiful formulas. So yet again, my darlings, it is inspirational to be with you. And well, I don't know where we're all going, but I think we're going in a very lovely direction. I need to tell you this, the black Maltese poppy formula, which is actually black energy as well as white energy. It's a combination of both these, so it's upgraded through all this exquisite knowledge. The intriguing thing is that it is the bone marrow that it supports in the EDS pack. So it's upgraded bone marrow. So I'm upgrading the EDS formulas, and we are, by upgrading them, instead of producing them as a pack, we're producing them as individual support formulas. It supports the adverse reaction for all of you. So yes, valuable. When you're working with the formulas, it's always about assessing your program, you know, by which makes you strongest, by prioritizing. Always remember, I've taught you how to prioritize. So if one formula is stronger than another, prioritize. You don't always have to have all the other formulas. You may find that by taking the strongest formula, the one that strengthens the arm most dramatically, that literally brings the body into stability, then perhaps you redose and look at the other formulas to see whether they're still required. You might find, for example, that with the new formula, when you get it, that if you've tested somebody and they need HF5, flower formula 5, Nightshade, but then when you test them with the black ball Maltese poppy, that they may not need it as well. They may only need one. You know, it's always about prioritizing. You've got your concepts, you know about the hierarchy, you know which formulas deal where, you understand the heart lock, you know what the depth is through the dosage. Is it spiritual? Do you need a very strong formula, or is it just acute physical? You've got this knowledge, use it. And don't forget that everything we talk about is literally upgrading, learning, researching, so that we are on that crest of that wave, you know, that incredible Hawaiian surfing wave, that we are sort of surfing the wave we are dealing with now, because our laboratory is living, the living laboratory of humanity, this minute in time. Every patient who walks in through the door, who sits in your chair, is part of your awareness, your knowledge, your research.